Pokemon Journeys is a controversial series. Either you love it or you hate it. And among the most controversial aspects of Journeys is the World Coronation Series, or Pokemon World Tournament if you're going by the Japanese. As of the making of this video, Ash has qualified for the Masters 8, the top trainers of the world. Not bad for a kid who's constantly memed as being a loser. But anyways, fixing the World Coronation Series. I have seen fans call the ranking system unrealistic. It's not. If anything, it's as close to the Duolingo League system, or, well, robot skills for Vex Robotics. The problem with realism and storytelling is that real life can be not conducive for good storytelling at times. Your hated rivals can simply be knocked out early in the competition by a wild card, or, well, they simply cannot compete. Realistic? Sure. Good storytelling? No. But my changes would not be changes to the rules, it would be changes to the narrative. Let's first look at the concept of a tournament arc. You have the tournament arc as we know it, where the characters duke it out in a bracketed tournament, and then there's the pre-tournament arc. We are all familiar with the concept of the tournament arc. It's a staple of the shonen storytelling since the inception of the genre and still runs strong to this day. The pre-tournament arc is where we get all of our character drama and get a preview of what our hero could possibly face in the tournament. The pre-tournament arc is where the real meat of the tournament exists. This is where we meet all the rivals and jump through all the creative hoops to see who qualifies for the tournament in the first place. This was the precedent for Gens 1 through 6. Ash would seek out 8 gyms, meet rivals, foster rivalries, and then take on the league tournament. But for Gen 7, this was replaced with the Battle Royale, which still qualifies as a pre-tournament arc, but it's a condensed version of it. So, the pre-tournament arc has 3 main purposes. It introduces new characters with new motivations, turns old characters into new rivals, and establishes the stakes. And let's be honest, I think we know what the stakes are in the World Coronation Series. No one is fighting to become God or channel any godly power. Defeat Leon, take the throne, it's a tournament, win the tournament. But if you have ever talked to anyone who has ever been in any tournaments, you're not going to get that as an answer. I'm going to share with you a few motivations I learned from students at Vex Robotics competitions when I judged a lot more heavily pre-pandemic. When asked why do you want to win this competition, and this is off the record, this wasn't part of the judging and it didn't affect it at all, this happened after the fact, it's always, I wanted to win because I wanted to go out with a bang because this is my last year I can compete in this tournament, or we're rivals with this school, so why not? And I wanted to feel like our hard work paid off, and of course I wanted my parents to be proud of me. So you get a nice diversity of why people compete. So what are the motivations of the various characters to dethrone Leon? Well, he's a very strong trainer plus protagonist syndrome. B is the persistent no-nonsense competitor that is in every tournament arc in both real life and fiction. Marnie wants to win because having her title as Monarch would give her hometown a lot more clout, and that's respectable. Raihan's goal is to dethrone Leon, which puts him at odds with Ash, since that's also Ash's goal. If Leon is the player character who has become the champion, then Raihan is the rival character who wants to usurp the champion. So there is symbolic value if you played the games. So, where do these stories go? B doesn't make it into the Masters 8 despite being the most recurring rival in the series. Marnie only appears once and is frankly not much of a blip on my radar. And Raihan is at least involved in the Masters 8 and he's the one who gets usurped by Ash. The problem with these 3 trainers is that their climaxes to their stories ends before the main tournament arc, the Masters 8, even begins. And you sort of want to have that character climax and your storyline climax sort of collide in the same area, and that really doesn't happen at all. It's not like this hasn't been a problem in the past. We had the gym challenge, which, while long, bulky, and did help us see Ash's progress, it may or may not have come at the cost of the rival's progress. And for this tournament, we don't have the gym quest to either help us or harm us in this development. We are thrown straight into the pre-tournament section, where we can have a lot of characters, both original and from the games, have a proper storyline to them, have proper motivations, have proper understanding of them, and it's not executed well. For the OCs made specifically for the World Coronation Series, Oliver, Law, Viscus, Hayden, Tony, Dozer, Rinto, and Cricketina Kylie, I only registered Rinto on a my radar because he was quintessential to Sirfetch'd character development, and that's something I can support. But the rest, Visquez can also count to some extent because, well, one of Surge's gym trainers, but still, 2 out of this massive, seemingly world-shaking tournament. And with the characters from the games, only 4 registered to me on my radar as characters. Karina was the first of our returning characters for the World Tournament, and she was used to set up B, and Iris now is suddenly champion of Unova, which, okay, does raise her threat level to an extent, and Raihan, who I've already covered. It's the same reason I really don't like most of the Masters 8. The tournament as a whole uses their reputation from the games and popularity with fans, or unpopularity in Alon's case, to create drama for the fans. In some cases, it borders on stock watering. Stories have an emotional nature and an experiential nature. You want to get invested into the characters, you want to get invested in the world, and you want to get invested in the plot. The drama of this tournament feels very much artificial, relying on hype rather than any emotional reality to sell the story. As Momin from the Darth Vader comic states, if people feel nothing when encountering something you have created, then you have created nothing. So what changes would I actually make to this story? I don't think B works best as a true rival. Don't get me wrong, all of us know that no-nonsense competitor in every single tournament we deal with. Narratively, I think she works best as a challenge for Ash, specifically his first true challenge in this tournament. B works best as a gatekeeper between the normal and great classes. Let Ash breeze through all the OC characters that were made specifically for this tournament and past characters. Then, have him hit the wall with B. And we know there are 10,000 competitors in the normal class, so Ash can reasonably breeze through it. Some of them aren't going to be the diehards. Well, B is a diehard trainer who wants to win this tournament, so let's say she tore through competitors left and right as well. As his first true challenge, that works. Rinto, meanwhile, can keep his part in the Sirfetch'd arc, but he will be more of a starter character in the Great class than a true rival. He tells Ash what I basically just said. The normal class is full of people who idealize winning. The Great class is filled with people who have the intent to win no matter what. Champions past and present, Elite Four members, wildcards, determined people in general. And this would foreshadow his competition. Let Iris ascend to the seat of champion of Unova, as in the anime, and maybe have some kind of inadequacies or inferiority complex of having to live up with Unova's legacy of champions. Marnie, she fights for Spike Muff's recognition. Fine, but have her appear relatively early on. And since this is my video fanfic, Wally, because I am annoyed that they didn't use him for the anime at all since he is the best rival in all the games. It's more of a protagonist story than Ash at this moment, overcoming yourself and things that you couldn't control in order to become a great trainer. Have the rivals get focus episodes, have them actually interact with Ash and Go long-term to establish their motivations and their fighting styles. Fighting is an art, and it can be used to convey character as well. Have Iris's fighting style be the high-risk, high-reward game. It's the game she played in order to become champion, and maybe have some insecurities about living up to the legacy of champions in addition to the whole Dragon Master goal she already has. Have Marnie's fighting style involve frustrating her opponents into making bad calls. Since her motivation is to bring prestige, having people act sloppy while you make very precise and strong attacks makes you look better and brings more attention to you. Have Wally's fighting style be a lot like a samurai or an assassin. Don't go all out, probe your opponent for weaknesses, and then take advantage of those weaknesses. For this class, I'd say the Great class to Ultra class, have Iris be the gatekeeper because she's a former companion turned rival. That is a good enough character for me. As for Raihan, he's going to be the gatekeeper for the Ultra class to Masters 8, much like he is in canon. It's essentially a good symbolic gesture for Raihan to lose his spot to Ash, because Ash essentially would usurp him as Leon's rival, and that works. It also works if other members of the Masters 8 are deposed from their spots by other trainers we have more of an emotional connection to. So I would essentially replace Diantha with Marnie and Steven with Wally. If I had the artistic talent, I could probably make a bunch of OCs to fill out most of the Masters 8, but whatever. You want to be emotionally invested in the battles that come up, and where better to do that than the climax? The tournament arc is nothing but tension, and the climax of any plot is the point of highest tension, so why not have your character arcs and your tournament arc have the same climax, or at least be relatively close within each other? After all, how insulting would it be? Since I brought up My Hero Academia earlier, how bad would the sports festival arc be if Todoroki had simply gotten over his angst over his fire half before the dueling began and just flattened everyone in his way when the dueling actually began? Sure, it would be a nice spectacle, but the emotional value with his battle with Midoriya immediately loses most of its impact, which isn't particularly fun and just leaves us with a nice set of pictures, I guess. So, this is but one fan's perspective on how to fix the World Coronation Series, and I would love to hear more perspectives in the comments below. Goodbye, have a nice day.